Hey folks, so in this video I'm going to show you how you can propagate gardenias over the winter, or more just show how mine actually propagated. So if you've seen my video that was posted like a couple years ago or so on propagating gardenias, and I had just a container, I put them in, half with water, seal it in a high humidity environment and bright light. You don't want them in direct sun all day, and cook them. And they literally, in the summertime, will root when the weather's nice and warm. And literally, you start seeing roots within a couple weeks. Well, here I have some gardenias, which they're not that happy at the moment. They're alive. I wouldn't say not that happy, but they're not that sightly because you have mildew here, and I'll explain that in a moment. But I took these back in the end of November, and now is the beginning of February. And I put them in a container with a lid, so trying to mimic a sealed environment, but it's not quite as humid in here as it is in a bottle. And I have them under grow lights, and only for about 4 or 5 hours a day, so not all day, but it took them a while to start showing roots. Now, before I show you the roots, I'll explain the mildew. These gardenias are like, I took them from one of my dad's gardenia bushes, and you had scales, so you can see these little specks here all over the leaf, and there were all these, I believe they were scales, that were infesting the underside of the leaves. So I plucked away at a lot of the leaves and just kept the upper portions, and I kept it sealed, hardly tending to these, even the other plants I had in there, because I didn't want them to infest the rest of my plants. So periodically I would open this and spray it with insecticidal soap. And finally it looks like it tackled the scales. I probably sprayed more times than I needed just to be on the safe side. And a couple times I replaced the water because the soap will make the water soapy and cloudy, like you can see. But as you can see, even with this method, they did root. And because this is a bigger container than a small vessel I have in that, anyway, I was able to use larger pieces, but now as the weather warms up, I can take these, remove the mildewy leaves, and that soap probably is what generated all the mildew. So I'll pluck the lower leaves that are still on here, some of the leaves, and as it grows in the springtime, they'll start looking sightly. But you can see how I have roots, and here is an interesting one where you're seeing roots starting to bud down here, but it's rooted from the side. So if this does root here, I can cut this and get literally 2 plants off the stem. But what I did was I took them to have a little, like 2 branches coming off. And then as new little shoots grow, it comes to a nice full plant if you're trying to propagate bushes which look nice and sightly after a year. And then let's see, so some of them didn't root as readily as others, but no worries, it just could be the way they are in relation to the others and under the lights. But you can see that roots are starting to form, and these are getting close to where I'd be ready to plant them. But typically you want to let these acclimate to a drier environment, so eventually I'll just be leaving the lid open. I may spray with insecticidal soap just one more time and maybe remove some of these lower mildewy leaves before I do that, just as a backup, just for like insurance purposes. But it's kind of nice that they are starting to flower in here as well, because they like the lights from the racks that I set up. They like those grow lights. So anyway, this is a simple way to where you can propagate gardenias even during the wintertime. So I hope you found this video informative and found it insightful. Thanks for watching, and happy planting.